What if I told you that these are not separate, random occurrences? What if I told you that the nautilus shell, the hurricane, the human heart, and the very stars in the sky are all designed from the same simple, secret blueprint? We live our lives surrounded by what we believe to be chaos. We see a world of random events, of fractured systems, of noise and discord. We feel disconnected from nature, from each other, and from the universe itself. We search for meaning in a reality that often feels arbitrary, meaningless. But what if that chaos is an illusion? What if, beneath the surface of everything you see, there is a hidden order, a language so precise and so beautiful that it could only be called the signature of God? The ancient civilizations knew this secret. The Egyptians, the Greeks, the Mayans, the Hindus, they encoded it in their most sacred temples, their most profound texts, and their most enduring art. They called it sacred geometry. This is not the mathematics you learned in school. This is not about cold formulas and abstract theorems. This is a living, breathing language. It is the invisible architecture of creation, the divine pattern that shapes everything in existence, from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy. For millennia, this knowledge was guarded, kept hidden in plain sight, accessible only to the initiates of mystery schools. It was considered too powerful, too profound for the uninitiated. But today, that veil is lifting. In this journey, we are going to do more than just look at pretty patterns. We are going to learn how to read this divine language. We will explore how a few simple shapes, born from a single point, create the infinite complexity of our universe. We will travel from the sands of Giza to the cells of your own body, revealing a golden thread that connects all things. This isn't just a history lesson, it is an activation, because to understand this code is to change how you see the world forever. It is to find order in the chaos, to find connection in the disconnection, and ultimately, it is to remember your own place within this magnificent, intelligent design. You are about to see the Matrix. In the beginning, there was nothing, a void, a silent, formless, infinite potential. The ancient texts call this the Great Mystery, the unmanifest. And then, a single act of consciousness, a thought, a decision to be. In the language of geometry, this is represented by the point, the first dimension, a zero that contains the potential for everything. It is spirit, pure and simple, existing outside of time and space. To know itself, consciousness must move. It expands outward from its center in all directions equally, creating the first and most perfect shape in all of existence, the circle. This is the symbol of unity, of wholeness, of the divine. It is the container for all that is, the Alpha and the Omega, with no beginning and no end. every point on its circumference is exactly equidistant from the center, a perfect expression of the source, the I Am. But a single circle in its perfect unity is alone. It knows only itself. For creation to happen, for anything to be experienced, there must be a self and an other. There must be duality. So the spirit moves. Consciousness moves from the center to the circumference and creates a second circle. This is the divine act of cell division, the first day of creation. The original one becomes two. And in this simple, elegant act, something profound is born. An interface, a shared space. The intersection of these two circles creates a new, almond-shaped form. The ancients knew it as the Vesica Piscis, the vessel of the fish. This is the womb of creation. It is the geometric symbol for the divine feminine, the gateway through which all subsequent forms must pass to come into being. It is the birth canal of the universe. Look at this shape. Does it seem familiar? It should. It is the human eye, the organ through which we perceive light. It is the mouth through which we speak the word. It is the very first shape of cell division, mitosis, the process by which your own body was created, dividing from one cell into two, then 4, then 8, forming the embryo you once were. This is not a coincidence. The Vesica Piscis is the geometry of light, of sound, of life itself. The ancients understood this. They saw it as the fundamental symbol of duality, spirit and matter, heaven and earth, masculine and feminine, coming together to create a third, the child, the universe, the manifested reality. When you see this symbol in a church window or an ancient manuscript, it is not mere decoration. It is a declaration. It is telling you that this is a place of birth, a gateway between worlds. The mystics, the artists, and the architects, they were all speaking this silent language. The Vesica Piscis is the first letter in the alphabet of God. It is the profound and simple truth that from one comes two, and from that sacred union, everything else is born. What happens next? Consciousness doesn't stop. It continues its journey, its divine dance of creation, weaving a pattern that would become the blueprint for all of existence. The creative impulse does not rest. Having created duality, the spirit continues to explore. It moves in perfect sequence to the new intersections it has created, and draws again and again and again. With each movement, a new circle is born, and the pattern expands. After 6 movements, 6 days of creation, a new, stable form emerges. 7 circles, perfectly intertwined. This is the seed of life. The ancient texts are not speaking of 6 24-hour days. They are speaking of 6 stages of creation, 6 geometric steps. On the 7th day, consciousness rested not from exhaustion, but to behold the perfect, complete, and stable pattern it had created. This is the Genesis pattern. It is the geometric blueprint for an embryo. The 7 circles correspond to the 7 primary energy centers, the chakras of the human body. They correspond to the 7 notes of the musical scale, the 7 colors of the rainbow. It is the foundation of all form. But consciousness is infinite. It does not stop here. It continues this divine algorithm, expanding ever outward, circle upon circle, until a new, complex, and breathtakingly beautiful pattern is complete. This is the flower of life. It is perhaps the most important and most sacred symbol in the universe. It is called a flower, not just because it is beautiful, but because it represents the cycle of a fruit tree. It contains the seed, which grows into a flower, which becomes a fruit, which drops its own seeds to begin the cycle anew. It is the holographic blueprint of reality. Within this one symbol, all of creation is contained. Every atom, every molecule, every living thing, every planet, every galaxy. The flower of life contains the blueprint for every other geometric form, every mathematical law, and every physical constant. But here is where the mystery deepens. Here is where we move from philosophy to irrefutable global proof. How do we know this isn't just a New Age fantasy? Because the ancients left it for us. In Abydos, Egypt, at the Temple of Osiris, one of the oldest temples on earth, the flower of life is not drawn or painted. It is burned into the solid granite with a precision that modern technology cannot explain. Carbon dating suggests it is thousands of years old, a permanent record left by a civilization that understood the code. In the forbidden city of China, the Fu dogs, the guardian lions, are seen with their paw resting on a sphere carved with the exact geometric pattern of the flower of life. It is found in ancient synagogues in Israel, in Buddhist temples in Japan, on temple walls in India, in the art of the Assyrians, at the Sun Gate in Peru. How did these ancient, separate civilizations, supposedly with no contact with one another, all come to possess the exact same symbol, the exact same blueprint? It is not a symbol that was invented by one culture and passed to another. It is a symbol that was received. It was discovered. Like a fundamental law of physics, it is a universal truth, an image of creation itself, available to any consciousness that reaches a certain level of awareness. Leonardo da Vinci himself was obsessed with it. He studied the flower of life and its properties, using its proportions to create his masterpieces. He knew, as the ancients did, that this was not a declaration. It was the source code, the ultimate, as above, so below, the divine signature, proving that the same hand, the same intelligence, designed the stars in the heavens and the petals of a flower on earth. But this universal symbol poses the greatest question in human history. If all these ancient cultures possessed this key, who or what taught it to them? The mystery of the flower of life is only the beginning. It is the key that unlocks a much larger door. When we look at the great works of the ancient world, we find more than just a shared symbol. We find a shared knowledge, a divine golden print applied on a global scale. Consider the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt, a marvel of engineering that we still cannot replicate today. Its four sides are aligned perfectly to the four cardinal directions, true north, south, east, and west, with an accuracy our modern GPS systems would envy. The coordinates of the Great Pyramid of Giza, 29.9792458 degrees north, exactly match the speed of light in a vacuum, 299,979,458 meters per second. A coincidence? Now travels 7,000 miles across the Atlantic Ocean to Teotihuacan in Mexico. There, the Pyramid of the Sun, built by a culture supposedly unrelated to the Egyptians, holds a secret. Its base perimeter is almost identical to the base perimeter of the Great Pyramid at Giza. Another coincidence? Let's look at their mathematics. The Egyptians, the Mayans, the Sumerians, the Babylonians, they all possessed an incredibly advanced understanding of geometry, astronomy, and physics. The Egyptians and Mayans both calculated the length of the year to 365.2 days, a staggering precision. The Sumerians used a base 60 mathematical system, which is why we still have 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, and 360 degrees in a circle. These are not the simple calculations of primitive agrarian societies. This is the knowledge of a highly advanced global civilization. How is this possible? How did all these disconnected people, separated by vast oceans and thousands of years, all arrive at the same divine mathematics? How did they all know to build colossal stone monuments aligned to the stars, and how did they all possess the blueprint of the flower of life? Conventional history has no answer. It tells us they were isolated. It tells us this is all a grand planetary coincidence. But the ancients themselves tell a different story. The legends of every single one of these cultures speak of culture bringers, gods, beings who came from the sky or who survived a great flood, and who taught them the laws of mathematics, astronomy, agriculture, and spirituality. In Egypt, they called him Thoth, the scribe of the gods, the master of the divine word. In Mesopotamia, they called him Oannes, a fishman who came from the sea to give them civilization. In the Americas, he was Quetzalcoatl, or Viracocha, the plumed serpent god who brought knowledge from the heavens. The names are different, but the story is the same. A teacher or group of teachers bequeathed this sacred knowledge to humanity, a wisdom package to help us evolve. This theory, the ancient architect or ancient astronaut theory, is dismissed by mainstream archaeology, but it is the only theory that fits the evidence. The evidence is not just in the stones, but in the patterns. These ancient architects were not just builders of stone, they were builders of consciousness. They understood that to build a lasting temple out there, you must first build it in here. They knew that the universe is not just physical matter, it is a symphony of vibration, energy, and form. And they left us the sheet music. The flower of life was the introduction, but within its simple, elegant form, a forbidden key was hidden, a key that unlocks the very building blocks of matter, a form so sacred it was said to be the very throne of Archangel Metatron. This is the knowledge they knew. This is the secret they left for us to find. The flower of life is a gateway. It is a two-dimensional map of a multi-dimensional reality. For the uninitiated, it is a beautiful pattern, but for the initiate, it is a puzzle. The puzzle that contains a key. If you take the 19 circles of the flower of life and you remove the outer containing circles, you are left with a new star-like pattern. The ancient mystics called this the fruit of life. This pattern of 13 circles is the key. It is the female or intuitive blueprint of reality. It is the womb. But to create, it must be activated by the male principle, the principle of logic, of direction, of will. In geometry, this is represented by the straight line. When you do this, when you apply the straight line to the curved, you get this. This is Metatron's cube. It is named after the archangel Metatron, who in Kabbalist lore is the scribe of God, the one who sits closest to the throne and records all the deeds of humanity. The very same role as the Egyptian god Thoth. This is no accident. Metatron's cube is considered the most sacred and most forbidden knowledge of all, because it is the user's manual for the universe. It is the full, complete blueprint showing how the divine thought of God manifests into the physical matter of reality. How? Contained perfectly within the lines of Metatron's cube are all 5 of the Platonic solids. The tetrahedron, 4 triangular faces, the symbol of fire. The hexahedron, the cube, 6 square faces, the symbol of earth. The octahedron, 8 triangular faces, the symbol of air. The icosahedron, 20 triangular faces, the symbol of water. And the dodecahedron, 12 pentagonal faces, the symbol of ether or spirit, the divine substance that fills the heavens. Over 2,400 years ago, the philosopher Plato wrote about these shapes. He called them the atoms of the universe. He taught that all physical matter, all of it, is built from these 5 fundamental patterns. And for 2,000 years, this was considered just a philosophical idea. Until the 20th century. With the invention of the electron microscope, we have proven that Plato was right. The building blocks of our reality are geometric, the lattice structure of minerals, the way metals form, the molecular structure of water, the very shape of our DNA. It is all based on the Platonic solids. This is the forbidden knowledge. This is the secret of how. The flower of life is the thought. Metatron's cube is the word, the logos, the algorithm, and the Platonic solids are the result, the physical matter. The ancients knew this. They didn't have electron microscopes, so how? They received the knowledge, or they were able to perceive the energetic grid of reality directly through advanced states of consciousness. They were telling us the physical world is not solid. It is a geometric light scaffolding. It is a vibration, a frequency held in place by a divine pattern. And this pattern, this divine intelligence, it didn't just create the building blocks of matter, it created the building blocks of life. It encoded its own signature, its divine proportion into every living thing as a permanent reminder of our source. This is the most famous and most beautiful number in all of creation. There is a number, a mathematical ratio. It has been called the divine proportion, the golden mean, and God's fingerprint. It is phi, 1.618034. Like pi, it is an irrational number, its digits stretching on into infinity, never repeating, never resolving. It is the ultimate number of life, of growth, of expansion, of infinite creation. Where do we find it? The better question is, where do we not find it? You see it in nature. It's in the spiral of the sunflower's seed head, the most efficient way to pack seeds. It's in the branching of trees, the veins of a leaf, the scales of a pine cone. It's in the spiral of a hurricane, the spiral of a galaxy. It is the shape of the nautilus shell, a perfect logarithmic spiral. The animal doesn't know math. It simply grows, and this is the geometry of growth. You see it in your own body. Look at your hand, the proportion of the bones in your finger from the tip to the knuckle. From the knuckle to the next is phi. The proportion of your hand to your forearm, the proportions of your face, the distance from your eyes to your nose, from your nose to your chin. The more closely a face adheres to this divine proportion, the more beautiful we perceive it to be. Even your DNA. The DNA molecule measures 34 angstroms long by 21 angstroms wide for each full cycle of its double helix spiral. 34 divided by 21, that is 1.619, the golden ratio. Your very life code is stamped with this signature, and you see it in art and architecture. The ancient Greeks knew it. The Parthenon in Athens is a masterpiece of golden ratio rectangles. The ancient Egyptians knew it. The very proportions of the Great Pyramid, the relationship between its height and its base, are a precise expression of phi. Leonardo da Vinci used it relentlessly. The proportions of Christ in the Last Supper, the face and body of the Mona Lisa. The Vitruvian Man is a veritable study of the golden ratio in the human form. The architects of the great Gothic cathedrals like Notre Dame and Chartres built this ratio into their floor plans, their arches, their rose windows, believing it would create a sacred space that would resonate with the proportions of God. So how does the universe calculate this infinitely complex number? How does a simple plant know how to do it? It uses a simple addition sequence, one you may have heard of, the Fibonacci sequence. You start with 1. You add the previous node. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus 3 is 8. Then 13, 21, 34, 55. It's the simplest growth pattern imaginable. Now watch what happens. If you divide any number in the sequence by the one before it, 5 divided by 3 is 1.666. 8 divided by 5 is 1.6. 13 divided by 8 is 1.625. 34 divided by 21 is 1.619. 55 divided by 34 is 1.617. The further you go, the closer and closer you get to that perfect divine number, 5. The universe is literally growing its way to divinity. Life is a simple additive process that results in infinite transcendental complexity. This is the signature, the fingerprint of God left on every single thing in creation, from a seashell to your own DNA. It proves beyond all doubt that the universe is not random. It is a single, unified, intelligent design unfolding itself through a geometric code. We have seen the patterns, we have seen the global mystery, we have seen the forbidden building blocks and the divine signature. Now we come to the final and most important piece of the puzzle. What does any of this have to do with you? What does a pattern in a stone temple or a number in a sunflower have to do with your consciousness, your thoughts, your reality? The answer is everything. The ancients left one final clue, a bridge that connects the world of form to the world of thought. This is cymatics, the science of making sound visible. What you are seeing is the effect of pure vibration, of frequency on physical matter. As the musical tone changes, the frequency changes. And as the frequency changes, the sand reorganizes itself from one complex geometric pattern to another. Change the frequency, and you change the form. This is not a theory. This is a physical, repeatable experiment. It is proof. Proof that frequency, vibration, is the creative force behind matter. First comes the vibration, then comes the geometry, then comes the manifestation. Now think about this. What is a thought? What is an emotion? They are frequencies. They are measurable energetic vibrations in your brain and in your heart. The Hermetic texts, the same ones attributed to Thoth, are built on one central axiom: as above, so below. This means the same laws that govern the cosmos govern you. As above, the frequency of the stars creates the geometry of the galaxies. So below, the frequency of the musical note creates the geometry in the sand. And, as within, the frequency of your consciousness creates the geometry of your reality. In his famous, though controversial, experiments, Dr. Masaru Emoto demonstrated this principle. He exposed water to different frequencies, to different words, thoughts, and emotions. Water exposed to hate and fear would freeze into chaotic, ugly, distorted shapes. Water exposed to love, gratitude, and truth would freeze into breathtakingly beautiful, complex, harmonious geometric crystals, like the snowflakes, like the patterns in the sand. You are not 70% water. You are a 70% geometric crystal resonating with the frequency of your own thoughts. This is the bridge. This is the ultimate secret of sacred geometry. It is not just something to be observed out there. It is something to be used in here. The ancients didn't build the pyramids as tombs. They built them as resonators. They were frequency tuning machines designed with the precise geometry of phi and the Platonic solids to help and initiate align their own consciousness with the frequency of the cosmos. When you feel fear or anger or despair, you are creating a chaotic, discordant frequency, and your reality, like the sand on the plate, will organize itself to match that chaos. When you cultivate love, or gratitude, or peace, or truth, you are creating a high, harmonious, geometric frequency, and the universe, by its own law, must reorganize itself to reflect that beautiful, orderly pattern back to you. This is the real law of attraction. It is not wishing for things. It is becoming the geometric frequency of the reality you wish to inhabit. The entire universe is a cymatic experiment, and your consciousness is the one controlling the dial. We have come on a long journey. We began in the void with a single point. We saw it blossom into the Vesicus Pisces, the womb of creation. We watched it expand into the flower of life, the blueprint of all existence left for us by the ancient architects. We unlocked the forbidden knowledge within it, Metatron's cube, the very building blocks of matter. We saw the divine signature, the golden ratio stamped onto every living thing, including our own DNA. And finally, we saw the bridge. We saw that all of this divine geometric order is not solid. It is a song, a frequency, a pattern of light held in place by vibration. And the conductor of that symphony is you. The chaos you see in the world is just a reflection of a low, discordant frequency, but you are not obligated to resonate with it. The ancients, the great architects, did not leave us this knowledge so we could simply admire it in a museum. They didn't encode it in stone and art for us to treat as a historical curiosity. They left it as a map back to ourselves. They left it to remind us that we are not random accidents in a meaningless universe, to remind us that we are not separate from God. We are a perfect geometric expression of God, to remind us that our bodies, our minds, and our world are not solid, but are a divine, fluid, geometric pattern ready and willing to be shaped by our own consciousness. You are the architect. Your heart is the center point. Your thoughts are the frequencies. Your feelings are the energy that creates the pattern. You are not the leaf tossed in the wind. You are the wind. You are the geometry. You are the creative force itself, experiencing its own design. Look at the world, but this time see the code. See the patterns in the trees, the spiral in the shell, the geometry in the faces around you. And then look within. Realize that all of it is in you. You are the sacred design. You are the divine proportion. The question, the only question that has ever mattered is, what will you build?